Hey reefers, welcome back to the channel. I just fed the fish, that's why there's so much floating around in there. The pump should be kicking back on. Oh, there goes one of them any moment now. So it's been a while since my last update. I haven't had too much to throw on here, and I've been rather busy. Even with coronavirus, I've been busy, and my friends have needed help with their businesses. So it's been a while. I will say that there have been quite a few changes. There's been a lot of growth. This rampage down here is taking off like nobody's business. As you will see, I do have some diatoms. My levels of nitrate and phosphate got very low. And I owe most of that due to the algae scrubber, I believe. I always had high phosphates, and now they are extremely low. I think the last test was 0.04. Nitrates, I can't remember exactly, but very low as well. So I have had a little bit of a diatom bloom. I've been kind of taking my turkey baster and blowing things off twice a day. Growth on every coral. Everything's going fairly well in the tank. A lot of new growth here recently, a lot of coloration recently. So basically everything in the tank is going all right. But there's going to be some changes going on here. So I did take off I had a problem with my MP40. I have a new wet side ordered, and I believe that it's coming soon. When I made my initial order with Bulk Reef Supply, it said that there were 4 or 5 in stock, but they ended up running out. And I believe that they had a couple come in, so I think that that's coming today. But as you could see up there and up there, those are not the MP40 or the MP10. Those are Jabo SOW20s. Down here I have the Jabo SOW15s. They're both running on 100%, but it's on the sine wave, the W2 on the controller. I left this one down off of the hood, off the aquarium hood. They are all linked to a master and slave. So a lot of flow going through the tank. I also took down the gyres. I just, with the combination of the gyres and the SOW15s, I don't think I was getting the kind of flow I wanted. And there's so much ramping up and back down. It just wasn't producing enough flow, in my opinion. It was plenty for most people's tanks, but I wasn't seeing the flow in the areas I wanted. And if something's not working for you, change it. So I didn't want to spend another $380 or whatever it is on an MP40, because I don't think that they're as great as everybody says, in my personal opinion. They are great pumps, but the amount of space that they take on the back, the amount of cleaning that I've had to do on them, I kind of prefer the cheaper Jabo way. I think these were $170 for the 2 of those. And if I ever need to replace one, it's going to be, $80. So not that bad a deal. I've used Jabos a ton in here and had relatively good success with them. No, they don't last 5-7 years, but they last long enough and are good performers. So the big change on this video, there are my 2 Orpheks, my Orphek Atlantic and the Atlantic Compact. In the back we have the T5 fixture, and both of these are going to be swapped out for the brand new Orphek light bars. I've had the first iteration, back when they were just called the OR20s, 120s for 120 centimeters. Then I had, and those were a blue plus and a UV. The UV was kind of horrible in color. It just turned the whole tank purple, and you saw way too much stuff in there. It just wasn't good coloration. Then with the OR2s, I had both a Blue Plus and a full spectrum. I forget, Reef Day, I believe is what they call it, which the Reef Day is basically a mini Orphek Atlantic, and those were both 3 watts. Since then, they have changed I believe it's just the 2020 models of the OR2. In the 120 centimeter, the 4-footer, they were 5-watt LEDs. Now on the OR3s, which is what these are the 5-watt, and this is a 3-foot fixture. The reason I went with 3-foot fixture and the reason I got rid of my OR2s is when I built this canopy, they weren't even close to fitting in there. They say they're 48 inches, but with this nut, with this wire coming out of here, you can only bend and press it. You only want to try and twist it so much too. So it ends up being quite a bit longer than that. That's why I got this 3-foot bar. I can hold this. Well, I'll show you here in a little bit. It basically goes the full distance, just like the Atlantic, which gives me tons of coverage. As you can see, there's 3 fingers of space. And this is how they come wrapped. They're fully plastic wrapped. It has a switch that has a water kind of cover on it. It has these little 40-watt drivers. It says OR2 90. They're made for the OR2 and the OR3. Driver not mean well like the Atlantic gets, but still, that's gonna do it. And you get your mounting hardware. I believe I'm gonna use these versus the hanging, just because I know where I'm gonna mount them and I have the spot for it. So, all right, so here we have both Orphek Atlantic and the Compact on full brightness along with the supplemental T5. You can see there's some shadowing under the green Slimer. Of course, there's always going to be shadowing. It's about impossible to get rid of unless you have full T5 covering, it seems. Which I did have. I did love my ATI 8 bulb. I don't know why I got rid of it. The promise of LED and the shimmer and the beautiful colors, which you definitely get, but this is with the 2 Orpheks and the T5, and I'm going to turn the T5 off and we'll see how it looks then. So that'll be the next shot. Here we are with just the Atlantics. I could say when I turned it off, I noticed immediately that the back wall was a lot darker, and that's because it is, it's kind of centered. Open this up this side. It's way over the back, even though it does disperse light more out than just down. The back became noticeably darker. I can point out here, I'm going to push on the T5 fixture. It does get there is a noticeable change because the reflectors are blocking a little bit of the light that's trying to angle down that way. So once that's out, that will improve the spread towards the back a little bit better. But overall, color and shading doesn't seem to change all that much. All right, reefers, I did some par testing here, and I was getting, and I should point out that this front light is about 18 inches off the water. The back one is about 13, 14 inches off the water. And this one's on the very front of the tank. That one, it does come out, I think it's 4 inches away from the wall. But with this big double barrel overflow system, you kind of have to do that anyway because that takes up so much space. That being said, on the top of the purple stylo, I was getting a little bit over 100 par. Up here on the mag rack, I was getting about 50 to 60. Whenever you're doing par readings, it kind of jumps around quite a bit, depending on the angle, and trying to keep my hand and everything out of the way so it can get proper reflections like it does in normal tank lighting. I will say it seems to add about 50 throughout the whole tank, even way down here on this bottom rock in the middle of the tank where it's not getting the most light. It was still getting around 40 par there. that being said, with all of the Atlantic and the Atlantic Compact on, I think the highest number I got was on top of the purple stylo, and that was around 440. I was getting quite a few 4s up in here, up in that rock, up on top of the red Monty that I'm trying to kill off right there, so I can place a couple of these corals. I was still getting in the 4s. The lowest number I got was it was actually over here next to this Monty. I got a 270. But yeah, even down here, and especially since that's directly under the Atlantic, I was still getting 350. Most of the tank is 300 to mid 4s. I do plan on lowering these lights. I think I'll lower the Atlantics another 2-3 inches, and then the blues as well. I think I'll probably lower the blues first, the OR3s, because that'll be more of a gradual increase in par. I'll do that first here in the next couple weeks, and monitor, make sure none of the corals are getting pissed off by the added par. And then I will lower the Atlantics and just kind of turn down the intensity a little bit, not have it running quite so high. But everything's responding really well. Everything looks really great in the tank. So far, yeah, I'm really liking these lights, especially when the daytime lights are off. You can really tell a difference when the bars start turning off in the blue spectrum. There's my buddy. There he is, waving high. All right, so I think that's it on the lighting. I think the next major change on this tank is going to be the tank. You know, I started out cheap, like I always recommend people do. I think I'm gonna go with a nicer tank here soon. Nicer plumbing, maybe even plumb it down to the basement. We'll see. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I can't recommend the Orpheks high enough. Whether you get the bars, like I said, if I had to do it all over again, I would just buy the Orphek bars and have my Apex control them. You know, have a couple of them on a, instead of having their own individual outlet for each probably 6 bars or whatever I'd have a couple daisy chained together so that they turn on at the same time. But one of the best parts of the Atlantic is being able to go in and choose your spectrum and the ramping up and ramping down. It just looks nicer and more natural that way. But yeah, these bars are pretty great. So my suggestion is order them before the price jumps up on them. I know I got in at the OR2 price for the OR3s. If you can do that, do it now. All right, reefers. Peace.